Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, we recognize that there are so many various interests in a liberal democracy. But the problem is the corporate interest undermines the representation of other countervailing interests in a liberal democracy. Thereby, the electoral process should never be captured or manipulated by the hands of large enterprise in our society. We believe, Mr. Speaker, that other marginalized interests cannot access the same political outcome of legislation because corporate interests systematically cloud out any other interests. We don't believe the small and medium-sized corporations or individuals are able to fight against the large multinational corporations or industry as a whole. And that's why we believe in order to overcome this asymmetry of power that exists in the political structure, we are happy to propose the motion before the House today. I'm going to examine three areas of clash points, including the extension. Number one, how should we deal with individual and corporation? Are they recognized as the same entities in the electoral process? Number two, what kind of specific corporate or industrial interests are overly represented that dilutes and distorts the representation of other countervailing views or other interest groups, the very minority groups that they have described in the debate? Number three, how we alter or change corporate behavior or industrial behavior on our side of the house after taking this proposal. No, thank you, I will take you later. Number one, how should we recognize individuals and corporations? Are they really same? They say the reason why we can support the corporate contribution is because we allow other groups of people or other interest groups or other individuals or rich individuals and small and medium-sized corporations to make a financial donation in order to fight back against these large multinational corporations, right? The situation is really fair. The competition exists. No, Mr. Speaker, that's very unrealistic characterization of a current structure of financial donation. How is it possible for a small and medium-sized corporation that have a few and small financial capital to make as strong a donation as large pharmaceutical corporations are able to do? How is it possible for the environmental group or labor unions that lack money to fight against large multinational corporations and the industry? We are not fighting against one company. We are fighting against the industry as a whole because similar corporations have similar interests within the industry, such as pharmaceutical corporations, such as gun industry, such as tobacco industry, such as the petroleum corporations that pollute the environment. They have similar interests within the industry. We believe individuals or small and medium-sized corporations cannot overcome this asymmetry or structural power imbalance. Thereby, there are now analysis about the characterization of a fair competition doesn't just project the reality of financial contribution made by corporations. Number two, the reason why we don't allow corporations to cast the vote in election is because the corporations are the collection of workers and employees. Within the corporations, different workers, different employees have different values. However, the corporations don't have a capacity to represent all the values of workers inside the corporation. And that's exactly why we don't allow corporations to cast the vote at the election. Number three, contradiction. They support restriction or cap upon the amount of financial contributions that corporations are able to make. And that's the model that First Speaker actually supported. If you support the restrictions upon the amount of money that corporations are able to make, then corporations cannot really exercise or vocalize their grievances. Corporations cannot really express their ideology because they cannot infinitely use their own money. And that's a contradiction between their model or their argumentation. Moving on to the second argument, before I will take you now.
Plenty of democracies, except the United States, are able to control the campaign finance to a level that creates an equal playing field for all countries, such as Japan, such as European countries. Why do they have to eliminate all campaign contributions to create level playing field?
Even if there's a limit upon that, number one, there are small and medium-sized corporations or labor unions that lack money cannot make anything at all to politicians. Thereby, we believe this existence of cap doesn't do anything good for these minority groups that are desperately in need of money but cannot do anything else. But second of all, what kind of specific corporate interests we are talking about in this debate? The politicians are easily swayed or voted by or captured by corporate interests. Then the large multinational corporations like industry take advantage of financial desperation of candidates and politicians, such as national rifle organizations or military industrial complexes that produce the weaponries, or petroleum corporations that pollute the air and the environment, or pharmaceutical corporations or tobacco industry. These enterprises make politicians their friends and their allies. Thereby, it is structurally and systematically hard for politicians to or candidates to campaign or advocate for the legislation that regulates these industries. And that's the problem. Why this structural predicament for regulation is serious in a liberal democracy? There are several reasons why. Number one, the corporate interests are oftentimes diametrically opposite to what public needs. For example, the vaccine for the uterine disease, like 子宮頸がん, was easily approved by legislative procedure because of the strong pressure of financial contribution by pharmaceutical corporations. And that's exactly why hundreds of thousands of women actually end up suffering a lot, right? This dangerous vaccine or medicine were easily approved by the hands of large amounts, the pressure by the corporations. But more than that, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, second of all, the discourse is manipulated in the status quo because politicians have no incentive to advocate for the policy to deal with these industries. That's exactly why certain important social issues are not highlighted in the election, are not discussed openly or sufficiently in the election. Thereby, public doesn't have access to sufficient range of public discourse in the first place. Number three, this structure fundamentally underrepresents marginalized minority or small and medium-sized corporations, Mr. Speaker. That clashes with what Toshi explained in the debate. We don't believe the small and medium-sized corporations that have limited financial capability can compete against the large multinational corporations, even if there's a limit, even if there's a regulation, because like 5 corporations have similar interests, fight collectively against one individual. How is it feasible to overcome this disparity in the structural asymmetry of power? Final argumentation, how we alter corporate behavior on our side of the house. What we can do on our side of the house is we can incentivize corporations to persuade the public about the necessity of their services, about the necessity or legitimacy of their own products, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, they cannot gain popular support, right? Toshi-san said we need corporations to tell people about the necessity of particular services, particular subsidy, but we can better incentivize that kind of accountability on our side of the house when corporations have no other option but to logically, reasonably persuade the public and candidates about the legitimacy of their own interests. We can generate more discourse, we can generate more accountable or open discussion by corporations on our side of the house. And that's what we propose. Thank you.